Wellington is a beautiful city in New Zealand, known for having the strongest winds in the world. It is located at the southwestern tip of the North Island on the Cook Strait and is comprised of four major areas. These include the Upper and Lower Hutt Valley, which are commonly referred to as the suburban areas, Pororua, the large Pacific Island community, and Wellington City. Here in Wellington City, we find the majority of people as it has an urban population of 398,300, making it the second most populated area in New Zealand. Wellington was named the capital city in 1865 and acts as the center of government and politics. In addition, it is the cultural capital of New Zealand, as it is home to numerous museums, including the Te Papa National Museum of New Zealand, which is the most visited museum in Oceania. You can find plenty to do here, from checking out the famous pieces of art, exploring the wildlife around the city, enjoying a cup of coffee at one of the many cafes, or engaging in the culture. One of the main ways to really experience the culture is to try the local foods that are unique to New Zealand. Wellington is consistently ranked among the top places to live, which is no surprise, since it is known to have some of the friendliest people in the world, and has a great quality of living. Residents are proud to call Windy Wellington their home, as it is a special city that is particularly impressive array of culture and art, as well as unique and customary foods.
Indigenous people from New Zealand are called Maori. One of the most and best interesting ways to learn about a country and its cities is by examining their cuisine. Maori traditionally ate a mix of cultivated, hunted and gathered foods. In the 21st century, many traditional ingredients and preparation methods remained important, and some had been adapted to modern taste. Since the country was covered with dense native bushes, vines and palms, fungi, berries, fruit and seeds became important foods. Aside from that, Maori hunted a wide range of birds, and seafood was also a very important component of their diet. One of the most famous dishes for Wellington's locals is hangi. Hangi is actually the most famous and significant method for food preparation. Hangi is an earth oven which is suited to feeding large numbers of people. To special occasions, people just dig holes in the earth and light a wood fire in the bottom to produce a bed of embers on top of which the cook places stones and rocks. Above this self-created stove, baskets of meat and vegetables are placed. In order to create steam, water is poured on top. The whole is covered with wet sacks and earth, which holds steam and heat under the earth and makes it possible for the food to cook for several hours.
The little capital of New Zealand is enriched with music, street art, history, and above all, coffee. Wellington reportedly has more cafes per capita than anywhere else in the world. Being a city of students and business workers, coffee is no wonder the beverage of choice to kickstart one's day. Though coffee has become an important part of Wellington culture, tea has had a longer presence in the history of the small capital. With New Zealand being colonised by the British in 1840, tea became an important factor of everyday life. At the turn of the century, the tea kiosks popped up in popular areas of Wellington, such as Oriental Bay, Miramar, Calburn, Island Bay, and Days Bay. And by the 1920s, the big department stores like Kirkcaldy and Staines were replicating the tea rooms as they were seen in England. Similarly, coffee houses began to rise in popularity. Susie's Coffee Lounge in Willis Street and Carmen's International Coffee Lounge on Cuba Street were the places to socialize in that decade. These establishments mainly served filtered coffee. Italian espresso machines could be found, but they were more difficult to operate without prior training. The coffee beans were scarce, and getting new parts for the machine was difficult. Carmen's International Coffee House was particularly significant, as it not only served coffee, but was also a brothel. The menu offered the typical things any other coffee house would sell, but it was unique in the way that no other coffee house was in Wellington at that period of time. Each waitress bent the heteronormative rules of society, making this business the first significant LGBTQ establishment in New Zealand. Nonetheless, this was the beginning of coffee culture in New Zealand's little capital. Kim Rose and Jeff Marsland, two Kiwi entrepreneurs, came back from Vancouver inspired and opened Cuba Street's very own Midnight Espresso Cafe in 1989. After this, they soon started roasting their own beans under the Cuba Street-inspired label Havana Coffee. This started a domino effect, and since then numerous coffee houses opened up. Coffee Supreme provided competition with its luxurious coffee and home-roasted coffee beans in 1993. This was followed by Hole in Wall Fuel in 1996 and Mojo in 2003, People's Coffee in 2004, and the latest contender, Flight Coffee. Wellington even hosts the biggest coffee festival in the country. Furthermore, the New Zealand Latte Art Championship is an annual competition held in Wellington, displaying the most talented coffee artists across New Zealand.
Due to the diverse cultural background of the people living in Wellington, there are several places or activities art lovers will enjoy. No matter if you love music, performances, or galleries, the city offers you a lot of opportunities to follow your passion. The so-called cultural capital of New Zealand will inspire you. To explore the cultural part of Wellington more in detail, we start our journey at Cuba Street. It is the most visited street that daily attracts many visitors. Every Friday there is a market and people meet to have a drink and visit other places on side roads. First, you will walk past many sculptures when you stroll around Wellington. Public artworks can be found in parks, on the streets, and in the city gardens. The two best-known places are the Ferns by Neil Davidson and the Writer's Walk. Ferns is a silver ball composed of aluminium palm trees hanging above the civic square. Davidson counts as New Zealand's most important sculptor and has commissions worldwide. The Writer's Walk is a symphony of 23 typographical sculptures that can be randomly spotted at Wellington's waterfront. They represent quotations of contemporary authors and past legends. The letters are made of metal, which are placed on concrete stabs or wooden panels. The Joy Coley plaque, for example, is located on a jetty at the waterfront walk. It says, "Light dances on hills and office windows and shakes its skirts over the harbor in a wild fandango that attracts the pale moths of yachts in droves," which is a quotation from her poem After the Southerly from Writing from the Heart, Storylines 2010. Further, Wellington is proud to host the Royal New Zealand Ballad. It is located in the Te Aro district in St. James Theatre, right at the cultural centre of Wellington. Reflecting the multicultural identity of the city, it features 32 dancers from all over the world. Enthusiasts come across outstanding performances such as A Midsummer Night's Dream, but they can also participate in creative dance, choreographic and performance workshops. Due to the high demand, booking is essential. Other than dance performances, people who love to go to the theater and watch live performances can choose from 4 prominent places in the city is hosting. The St. James Theatre is one of them. The Edwardian Lyric Theatre was fully restored in the 1990s and is famous for its classical theatre atmosphere. The Art Deco style foyer invites you to drink a coffee or have breakfast in the Jimmy Cafe and Bar, or simply get together and have a drink before the show starts. The 1,550 seats are merely empty. A rather hip stage can be found at the Kent Terrace, nearby the Courtney Palace Entertainment District. The Bats Theatre. It focuses on the representation of unique New Zealand arts and acts which enrich the scene with new, innovative and bright ideas. New artists receive the chance to establish themselves. 3 or more completely different shows take place in one night. With an average ticket price of $16, it's a good catch for youngsters. The Wellington Arts Centre, Toiponeke, can be found on the Abel Street in Te Aroha district, in the bustling and dynamic Upper Cuba Street. It is Wellington's main address for visual arts of every field. The 2 buildings and 7 floors revolve around creative productions among all disciplines. Further, the gallery aims to develop the cultural identity in New Zealand by offering an opportunity for artists to exhibit and produce. Toiponeke seeks to connect creative people and encourage exchange. The facilities include 29 art studios, rehearsal spaces, music rooms, and administrative offices. Nevertheless, it is also home of several festivals, such as the Cuba Street Festival or the Fringe Festival New Zealand. With over 50 galleries and the free admission, visual art lovers may never get enough of the creative facility.